So this is the type of video I don't usually tend to do, like pretty much ever, just because I feel like making content on things I find troublesome about a series is something that I'm not interested in doing. That kind of stuff can usually just be talked about in a discussion about said series, but it's come to my attention that something that I've actually had on my mind for quite a while now is coming back into the scene in the manga of Black Clover. But before we jump into that, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you have not already. That way you can keep up with all your favorite anime and manga content, and don't forget to turn on the bell notifications so you stay up to date with everything anime and manga here on the channel. But regardless of that, the certain thing popping up back into the scene, and more so the discussion of Black Clover's manga, is the topic of deaths in the series. For a while now, Black Clover has had this ongoing trait with the majority of its main world characters and some obviously minor world characters that tend to just never die in a situation where they primarily should. And there comes a ton of factors within anime and manga to play a huge role in what it means to kill off a character. But for this specific video, we need to look at the series of Black Clover and understand why maybe Yuki Tabata is undergoing this common phenomenon within his own manga, and acknowledge that the importance of growth in characters in his series are heavily being held back by the decisions of certain character directions that he has placed. So with that being said, let's take a look further into the manga of the series and talk about the problem with Black Clover. So to a degree, I think it's only right to start off by looking at the reason why Tabata Sensei is deciding to go down this route for his characters in the series. For one, this is going to have to come down to a perspective of what the series of Black Clover is, and that it's set within a magical fantasy world where something like magic has the ability to quite literally change reality, and already can bring somebody back from the dead at will. And two is that the series of Black Clover plans on going on for quite a while, and according to Tabata, he plans on making it to go as long as something like Naruto and One Piece. So when looking at that factor in my mind, it kind of plays out a few scenarios. And this is pretty much what I've gathered up and what I've come to terms with, and what I'm to believe is the reason on why Tabata is deciding to keep some of the characters in his series alive, when we all know that at the very least, a few of them should probably be dead. At the very peak though, I think Tabata is trying to display what he's insinuating on the longevity of the manga, meaning that sooner or later in the series, there will be deaths that hit hard for the readers, but as of right now, to Tabata, the stuff that's orchestrating the manga as of current is like nothing to what he has planned for later on down the line. That's why for different characters that face death a few or so times in the story, this is something that he wants for that character to grow, as well as others around him within the story. Secondly, we have to remember that this is like a double-edged blade, and that Black Clover is a series that contains magical spells and, more importantly, healing assets and abilities. So on one hand, we have the luxury of displaying the power of being able to heal someone that is already beyond death, but on the other hand, this is displaying a lack of stakes being made on the series. And it shows us, the readers, that yeah, that's cool and all that they have these types of abilities, but it leaves the readers compliant with the situation that there's nothing to lose, and that takes a lot of people's interest when reading a story. But let's get a little bit more into that. When we look at the most successful series within Weekly Shonen Jump, and honestly just in anime and manga in general, death as a key factor for characters usually plays a huge role in some of the biggest memorable moments in the series. I like to mention a few, but I'd probably spoil a lot of people on series they haven't read and or watched yet, but if you are an avid reader and a watcher of just regular series in general, you should probably know what I'm talking about. And to take that into account on what I said a bit earlier, death as a component is used in stories to hold that barrier when you know things are serious, and it also plays into the fact that it keeps the readers on their toes and highly more interested when they know there is risk involved within the world. But Black Clover as it is has its consistent fake outs, where I can personally see it as something that doesn't bother me too much, but on a basis where it happens at least twice an arc is something that I can see a lot of people getting frustrated over, especially if it's something that you know could definitely be used as great development for some characters to evolve within the story. I mean, I don't think I can count the amount of times it's happened throughout the entirety of the story, but from recent memory, especially within these recent arcs we had a situation with Yuno, we've gone down this route with Ghosh, and even Noct, and with this recent fight up until now with the current conflict with Gaja, which mind you could have definitely been a great example of a character to kill off for the beneficial development of the characters around him from the Heart Kingdom. I honestly think that if Tabata's mind is on this path, the longevity of the series, like I prefaced earlier, I think he just doesn't see this as something worthy of killing characters off, but also it's like, man, this happens so frequently that it's almost as if he's doing this on purpose to upset the readers in some way. But one thing's for sure, I do think that there is reasoning behind why this keeps happening, and with the coming of later arcs, I'm positive that when the time comes for a major character death, it sure as hell will surprise a lot of us. And I'm not saying that it will necessarily make up for the previous events, it's just that with the direction Tabata looks to be going in, this era of magic and villains he has set up currently is probably nothing compared to what he has in store for us in the future. And I've talked about this before in some of my previous Black Clover videos, where I prefaced that Black Clover is a slow build just like the rest of any long-running shonen. Tabata wants this series to go as long as One Piece even, so I can only imagine with all the different locations and inspirations Tabata has picked up with this series, it's sure to be something bigger than it already has been within the near future. I just hope this common trait that has been floating around for a while isn't something that sticks around for the later portion of the manga of this series. That being said though, Black Clover as of right now to me personally isn't precisely the best, but I can for sure see the potential, and it's not like I dislike the series. I mean, I read it week to week, but I sure do hope that within time we'll see an improvement in the manga of Black Clover for the better coming of the series. But with that everyone, I think that about wraps it up. This has been Augie. As always, make sure if you did enjoy the video to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. It truly does go lengths in helping me pursue YouTube and all that fun stuff. And don't forget to turn on the bell notifications, that way you never miss out on another one of your favorite anime and manga videos. And with that everyone, my Twitter is @AnimeAugie, and I'll make sure to catch each and every single one of you guys in the next video. Peace.